Hello, and welcome to another intro video with Best Mindset Group. The reason you're probably watching this is you're wanting to get some direction on some of the coaching that we actually do. And today we're going to do it in kind of a case study version to actually show you a live format of what it takes to, and what it looks like to actually coach an entrepreneur. You're going to be looking at some of Cameron's goals. So Cameron came out with us today to kind of work with us on his goals. So his goals are up here as financial goals, why it's important to him, what he would like advice on, and then we're going to really just nail down what he's going to take action on leaving this coaching session with me and him. I'm going to introduce you to the 4-step process that you're actually going to go through when you coach someone. It's extremely important that you follow this process. And instead of just explaining it, I'm actually going to work with Cameron on it, and then you can actually see what it looks like live to actually work with someone through this 4-step process. Okay? So let's get started. So Cameron, we're going to work on the goal advice group version of what we do. And for me and you, we're going to work on your goals here. So why don't you start with step 1, which is, step 1 is telling me a little bit about yourself and your business, and then just tell me what your goals are, why it's important to you, and just kind of what you'd like advice on today as we talk. Sound good?
Sounds good. My name is Cameron. Hi, everybody. I am a realtor. I work at RE/MAX in Surrey. But what I do is, instead of focusing on an area, what I try and focus on is how to make your financial life line up with your real estate wants and needs. So kind of translating, all the number side of it into an actual living situation.
Okay.
And, whether that's an investment property or personal residence, just kind of cleaning it up and helping people out with that.
Sounds good. Cool. And what are your goals? So go through these.
So my 2-week goals, the first ones you see at the top, the 2-week goals there, my achievable is $2,500 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because what I'd like to be doing is averaging $5,000 a month. That pays what I need to live on, and it pays my office bills and my overhead.
Cool.
My inspirational goal, $3,500 every 2 weeks, or $7,000 a month.
Okay.
And outrageous would be $5,000 every 2 weeks, or $10,000 a month.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And why is that important though, at the end of the day?
Well, the $5,000 a month, hitting that pays my bills.
Cool.
And everything else is buying back my time. It's what we, in a sense, it's one of the reasons I'm in business, is I want to make money.
Absolutely.
And, $10,000 a month means 2 months of vacation every year. Let's put it that way.
So you get more freedom.
Absolutely.
So by growing your income, you're getting more freedom.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Cool. All right, so today we're going to work on some of your own personal goals, as well as just kind of what you want advice on. So let's take a look at it. So what are some things you actually want advice on today?
The number one thing I'd like advice on is, how do I better define my service as a realtor, or what makes me unique? And, I think real estate realtors, we are an in-the-spotlight profession, because I don't care where you go, just about everywhere, there's somebody's sign on the corner of every street in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
So, we're everywhere. And when there's so many of us, it's really tough to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
So how do I bring that, and how do I better communicate with the people that I can help?
Cool. What makes you unique?
Yeah, what makes me unique?
Cool. All right, so just coming back to the video, that's step 1. So just so everyone knows, that's step 1. We're understanding who Cameron is, what his goals are, why it's important to him, and just really what he wants advice on. Step 2 is not giving advice, but asking questions. And as an entrepreneur, we're all going to want to give advice at this point. Like, Cameron, you got to do this to get more attention, to be more unique. I'm not going to give Cameron advice right away. I just want to really, truly get to the core of it, to help understand him and his goals and everything he's doing a lot better. It's always annoying when somebody tries to give you advice, but they don't fully understand you first. So take time to ask really good clarifying questions, and that's step 2. So let's jump into it. Okay, so Cameron.
So Danny,
let's jump into some questions here. So basically what you're saying to me is, you're saying, I want to be more unique in my industry, but yet it's tough because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is involved in the industry right now, and there's tons of different people doing it.
there's 18,000 realtors in the Lower Mainland. If you sort of divide the population, it's 300 clients per person, and that's not enough.
That's not enough.
That's not enough to build a long career out of. It's
totally. Yeah. So my first question then is really, when you look at it, what will make you unique is why you're doing this, and looking at this. So why did you get into real estate? Like, what got you involved in the first place?
That's a good story. I wasn't originally going to get into real estate. I was going to be a teacher, and while I was doing that, well, back up one more step. The reason I was going to do that is I was a picked on kid, bullied kid, and I see a lot of it happen. It was close to home. I did a lot of things through school that just sort of brought me through those tough times. And, I wanted to give back. I wanted to make sure that didn't happen and sort of recontribute that to being a teacher. And, what ended up happening, though, is I found out in the teaching profession that even teachers are picked on. I guess when you're adults, they're called abused.
Yeah.
By not so much by administrators, but sort of systematically. It's not one person that does it. It's just the way the whole organization is set up. That everything they do takes away from actually working, actually having an impact.
Yep, I understand. So as far as becoming a realtor, making that transition, what was going on in your mind, and what kind of got you to that?
I've always had an interest in real estate, like investment property and finance, and maybe more so than we're all interested in saving money.
Yeah.
I mean, but a little bit more. Like I wanted to learn about it and how it works, and that's just been something I've been interested in for a long time. And as I made the decision to get out of teaching, I wanted to get into that real estate as an industry.
Yep.
And it just kind of worked out that being in real estate really is a good way to share. I mean, when I started, share the little I knew, and I know a ton more now, years later. But it worked really well.
So you're just able to you're able to impact people more than just being trained as a teacher, and you're able to help people properly.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to look at is, so that's kind of what got you started. When you're working with your clients right now, like what is the big pain that you're solving all the time? What is the constant thing that clients are just like, thank you, Cameron. It's so much pain now, and you just relieve that from me. What's the pain?
That's a good question. If I had to put it in one word, it's stress.
Yeah.
But it's not the same stress for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, it's financial stress. They have, their debt is really disorganized, and they stitch it back, and we fix it up, we clean it up, and put a proper savings plan in place. That's awesome. Other people, it's stress about their home, or this is breaking, and that's breaking. I'm nervous that it's just going to take me out of the game. So sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's family, like my family's growing, or, things with issues with parents, or issues with state, or all kinds of things. The other one, it would be, it's kind of a good stress, but it's, wow, I'm doing really well, I don't know what to do now. So it's, maybe I would think of that less as stress and more about I'm stuck. I'm in a good position and I don't know.
But ultimately, you're drawn towards clients that are stressed out.
Man, I don't know if that's good for me.
Well, it's interesting, though, because can I give you a bit of advice on this, too?
Sure.
Cool. So before I do, just to go back to the video, I've now asked some clarifying questions. And it depends. Sometimes you ask about 20 clarifying questions. Sometimes you ask one or two. But just if you noticed, Cameron did most of the talking. And I really got him to think through a lot of it. Now I'm going to give him a bit of advice. I also asked him for permission. I think it's really important to ask for permission before you give advice on something. But we're going to move into step 3, where I can give him some thoughts on what I went through, or some personal experience that I went through, to really help and see if that resonates with him. So Cameron, what I would say my advice is the reason I ask those 2 questions is I find that when you want to find your uniqueness, what makes you you, you start with why you got started with what you're doing, your true why, your true core why, and I think it goes a little deeper. I think it does go a little more to your childhood when you were bullied, going to a teacher, not finding that solution, and finding real estate as your solution. Something about that bullying and that frustration you felt then, and then what you're doing now by solving people's frustrations. There's something there. And I couldn't tell you exactly right now in 5 minutes, what your unique thing in the industry is, but I will give you a bit of an exercise to do that I did that really helped me. And what I did is I started with my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing, and where does that come from? And then I ended with what are my clients' biggest pains that I'm constantly solving, and I'm so passionate about solving. There's a bridge there that you're gapping on that. That bridge is what makes you unique. So using that bridge, you can ultimately define who you are and really what makes you unique to the industry. But you have to take time to identify those 2 areas, because there's a gap in between that you're bridging. That's my biggest advice to you. So does that seem useful for you? Or?
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Cool. So let's take a look at, for your goals-wise, how that impacts you.
Okay.
So you've said to me previously, so you're going to hire 1 new assistant, okay, all in 1 year. You're going to find 1 new client to work with that will buy or sell from you, so this will probably help a little bit in finding more clients, I guess. But here's interesting. This is where it'll really impact you. You're going to make 35 calls to people who are sale by owner right now. It's basic cold calls, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you called them with a really clear message about what makes you unique, you won't just be another person calling on the phone. You'll be Cameron. And that'll really connect with them. So what do you think about adding to this goal? Something about your uniqueness.
Sure.
Cool. So what do you want to put?
Make 35. Make 35 calls, and with the purpose of communicating what makes me me.
That's so unique. So you're going to make 35 calls, but you're not just going to make them. You're going to communicate what makes you unique. And you're going to come back in 2 weeks, and you're going to tell me what you learned from that. That sound good?
Sounds good.
Cool. So that's step 3. So I'm really giving him advice and just really looking at where he can take action on some of that advice. Now step 4, the most important part, is committing to what you're going to take action on. So Cameron, out of these 3 things, why don't you read them out and tell me what you're physically going to do the next 2 weeks to hit your financial goal.
Okay. Hire 1 new assistant. That's really to smooth out my operations, just to deliver service better and more consistently, so I can spend more time working on finding new clients.
Okay.
So I've been taking applications for a while. I want to do the interviews in the next week and pick someone and get them going.
Done.
Find 1 new client to work with me as a buyer or a seller. I mean, that's really direct. The income in real estate is, it's never perfectly smooth. You have, some ups and downs, but the more clients you fit into that, the smoother the ride is. So for me, it's less about the financials, more about consistent clients through the door.
Cool. Okay.
The last one is making 35 calls. It's just about finding those new clients. So.
Cool. And you think what we did today will help you just actually close a couple?
I think it'll actually, if I can come up, I shouldn't say if, when I come up with a better call that connects to them, when you have that connection with a client, I know this from my own experience, you connect to somebody, it's not sales anymore, it's genuine service.
Totally.
And when you have that, you get clients for life, you get great testimonials, fantastic referrals, and business just rolls. But doing that consistently, and there's my stumbling block.
Okay. And I guess if you can express that, I guarantee you too, just knowing from my experience, people are much happier to talk to you. You enjoy it more, and you'll just get better results even because of your attitude. So that's cool. So I recommend figure out that communication piece about what makes you unique before you make the calls, and then go right into those calls and see what happens. And it'll be a big learning thing for you on that too. So, all right. So from there, what me and Cameron do is he'll give me his name and number. He'll give me a completion date that he wants to have at least half of this done, and we're going to meet or talk halfway through his goals to see how he does between now and the next session. When he comes back, we're actually going to look at how he did financially, if he hit or missed those 3 task items that he said he was going to commit to, these 3 right here. And then we're going to see, he's going to reflect on himself, why he hit or missed the goal, and just things he learned or could change moving forward. So that's it. So that's the coaching process we moved through. And you can probably see how I gave him direct, specific feedback, which helps him. But sometimes as an entrepreneur, you don't know exactly what to say. You might be like, I'm not sure, I haven't been in that situation. Just ask more questions about what they think they should do, and they'll usually find the answer themselves as well. And they're ultimately, a lot of us, and you can probably agree with this if you're watching this video, as an entrepreneur, we just need a bit of a sounding board sometimes to express what we're going through with like-minded people. And that's what this process offers. So that's it. So that's coaching. This is the 4-step process. You'll have this in your binder when you're at our Best Mindset group to actually follow through with. It's extremely important to listen, understand the people that you're working with, and ultimately don't make assumptions and give advice too quickly. Really just give them 1 or 2 pieces of feedback from your own personal experience. And if you don't have some, ask them what they think they would do and be a sounding board for them. All right. So other than that, we'll see you at your next Best Mindset session.